as many questions as you want.
Thank you.
Sit here with me.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Well, I was born January the 19th, 1807 in Stratford Hall, Virginia. My dad was Light Horse Harry Lee. My mother was Ann Carter Hill Lee. I had I guess a normal childhood as anyone else, but I was also considered to be very serious. And I loved school. I loved mathematics and anything to do with that. I went to Alexander Academy, and upon completion of my studies there, I entered West Point at the age of 18. And there I studied for 4 years with being successful in infantry, artillery, and cavalry. And at the completion of my studies, I went into the U.S. Army, and then in 1849 the Mexican War came along, and there I served under General Winfield Scott.
Very interesting. So when did you start to have an interest in the Army?
Well, my first interest was growing up looking at my father, who was a hero in the Revolutionary War. Light Horse Harry Lee was known to be a hero. He fought through the whole war, and then he came back home and was even governor of Virginia.
So I heard you surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant, leader of the Union Army. Could you tell me a little about that?
Yes, that was April the 9th, 1865, and we met at Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia, and I handed him my sword. He was very gracious. We had fought together in the Mexican War, and we had been friends, and he was very gracious toward myself and the Army of Virginia. The conditions were great that he gave us. We could take our own horses and our guns and just go back home. The day after I surrendered, I went back to the Army of Virginia, which was a few miles away, and was able to tell them that the war was over and that I had done all I could do for them, but it was time to go home.
Wow. Well, I won't keep you much longer. Could you please finish up with when you returned home?
Well, I returned home, but really I had no home because Arlington, where Mary Custis Lee and I had lived for so many years, had been taken over by the Union Army, and it had already become a cemetery for Union soldiers that had died during the war. So I had nowhere to go except to a small cottage out in the Virginia countryside that we had owned for many years and used kind of like a summer retreat. We spent many years there, and then we went to Washington College, and there I was president. And I think that was a good 4 years of my life, and I enjoyed the influence that I had on young people that were going to that school. Then I became ill, and October the 12th, 1870, I had a massive stroke and passed away.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lee. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you, young lady.